Good afternoon, and we're coming on the air because right now President Biden is set to sign his landmark $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill. You see the president there in the Oval Office. Let's listen.
The weeks that this bill has been discussed and debated, it's clear that an overwhelming percentage of the American people, Democrats, independents, our Republican friends, have made it clear, the people out there, made it clear they strongly support the American Rescue Plan. Yesterday, with the final passage of the plan in the House of Representatives, their voices were heard and reflected in everything we have in this bill. And I believe this is, and most people I think do as well, this historic legislation is about rebuilding the backbone of this country and giving people in this nation, working people, middle-class folks, people who built the country, a fighting chance. That's what the essence of it is. And I'm going to have a lot more to say about that tonight and the next couple of days and be able to take your questions. But in the meantime, what I'm going to do is sign this bill and make a presentation tonight. And then there's going to be plenty of opportunities. We're going to be on the road, not only talking about what I'm talking about tonight is the impact on the virus and how we're going to end this pandemic. And we're going to talk all the elements of the bill beginning on Friday, Saturday, and through the week. So, thank you for being here. Got it. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
There you have it. We'll see if the president takes any of these questions in the Oval Office there. Vice President Kamala Harris at his side, signing his landmark bill. Help is on the way for millions of Americans struggling 1 year into this pandemic. Of course, this is also a major victory for the president early in his administration. 51 days in now, the bill includes $1,400 checks for most Americans. It extends jobless benefits through the summer. They were set to run out. It also lowers the cost of health insurance for those relying on Obamacare. There's money for schools, small businesses, for the vaccine effort. We should also note that today's signing comes just hours before the president delivers his first primetime address to the nation. You heard him mention that. It marks 1 year since the World Health Organization declared the coronavirus pandemic around the world. And here in the U.S., of course, the staggering toll. We have lost more than 529,000 Americans to this virus, and we must always remember that. The nation, of course, now asking, what will this next chapter look like? We have 3 vaccines now, Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson. The president hinting he will talk about that next chapter in prime time later tonight. I want to bring in our senior White House correspondent, Mary Bruce, watching this with me, this moment of history, the largest relief package since the Great Depression here in this country. This was a major victory for the president. He did this without one Republican vote, either in the House or the Senate, Mary, but he also did it knowing the polling on this right up until the moment he signed this today has been on his side.
And David, that is why it was one of the first things, actually the first thing, the president just mentioned in his remarks there. While not a single Republican, not one, was willing to join him on Capitol Hill in passing this bill, the White House was willing to take that risk because they feel that the American people are behind this bill. We know from the latest polling, 41% of Republicans, according to one poll out this week, do support this bill. And it is a risk for the president, though, in doing this just with Democratic support. Joe Biden came to Washington confident that he could work across the aisle, that he could convince Republicans to back some of these big ticket agenda items of his. But Republicans simply insisted that this bill was just too expensive. Republican leaders called it a partisan spending spree. But the president over and over again said the risk here was not in going too big, but in going too small. He was never willing to compromise, to come down from this nearly $2 trillion price tag on this. And David, just to put that in perspective, with passage of this bill now, Congress has over the past year spent more than $5 trillion on stimulus efforts around this pandemic. That is more than the U.S. spent in World War II. It is more than the GDP of Japan, the world's third largest economy. So this is a massive amount of money, but it is something that the White House is very confident was absolutely needed in this moment. That said, in order to get this passed, the president did have to make concessions just to get Democrats united. Those $1,400 checks are going out to a more limited number of Americans than the president had hoped. Those unemployment benefits will now be extended just through the first week of September and at $300, not the $400 the president had hoped. So this does expose the real political realities that the president will face going forward here in Washington.
Yes,
David.
those negotiations to keep moderate Democrats on board. He could not afford to lose one vote in the Senate. Mary, our thanks to you. And you heard Mary point out those numbers, in particular from the Pew poll just this week. 70% of Americans saying they support President Biden's COVID relief plan, now signed into law by the president moments ago. And you heard Mary mention a significant number of Democrats, obviously 94% of Democratic voters across the country. And as Mary said, 41% of Republicans polled said they support this as well. Our coverage continues on ABC News Live, abcnews.com. And of course, I'll see you in just a few hours with our entire team on World News Tonight. And then, as I mentioned, 8 p.m. Eastern, the president's address to the nation, what this next chapter will look like for our country as we continue to fight this virus. New economic help now on the way, vaccinations on the rise, and the president will speak at 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll see you then. Good day.